First of all, thank you all for being present here. It's a Friday afternoon. This is our third MEx Talk. And for this, we have a very influential and prominent personality as the keynote speaker. And it's Mr. Roshan Kynadi, who's actually a farmer, businessman, agripreneur, and right now, as stated, he is the CEO and co-founder of ZuperAp. So, sir would be taking a session for us on the topic opportunities in a dynamic and disruptive world. So I'm sure it will give us better insights about the right dose to our future. So I think now we can move on to the session rather than making it late. So I would like to call Aaron for the welcome address. Aaron, please.
Yeah, thank you, Fahim. Warm greetings to all present here today. It's a pleasure, sir, to have you here with all of us and to talk on the topic opportunities in a dynamic and disruptive world. Mr. Roshan Kynadi would be a keynote speaker for this talk, and I would like to take this opportunity to introduce him in brief. As Fahim has stated earlier, he's an agripreneur who is trying to create an unconventional model of farming in his plantations. Along with that, he's also the co-founder and CEO of ZuperAp, a mobile app that was recently launched. He's a person with a vision and a broad foresight, enabling him to excel in all spheres that he ventures into. Roshan sir is a passionate person promoting entrepreneurship amongst youngsters. He's also a charter member of TIE Kerala, which promotes entrepreneurship among the youth of our country. He also mentors a few startups too on a voluntary basis. Along with this, he's a regular columnist in various business magazines and a regular speaker on topics like agripreneurship, strategy, disruption, innovation, exponential technologies, entrepreneurship, etc. Roshan Kynadi sir was the president of Calicut Management Association during 2011-12. It was during his term that CMA organized a workshop for the ministers of Kerala in association with IIM Kozhikode. He also had the opportunity to develop a road development model called Skyway and presented to Kerala Chief Minister Sri Umman Chandi during 2014. This was the model by which land acquisition would not be opposed or resisted by landowners. The main idea was an elevated road project from Kasaragod to Trivandrum, and the project was presented in the cabinet on 8th October 2014 by Roshan sir itself. So that was a brief about sir, and I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, for this talk today. Last but not the least, I also welcome our fellow mates, as both seniors and juniors, both the batches are being present. I know the numbers are quite low because of the afternoon session maybe, but I hope that more people would be joining in. So without further ado, let's move right into the talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Respected teachers and students of the prestigious NIT School of Management Studies. I think one thing that we see almost everywhere around us today is something called disruption. And the scale of disruption is at times difficult for us to understand. Let us have the session as an interactive session. I do not want this to be a one-way session. Let us try to find out how many products this thing called mobile phone has disrupted. Over to you. Just tell me whatever is coming to your mind, starting with the camera, the radio, the music player. Please continue. Please unmute.
Sir, almost everything. Starting from watch, even people used to wear, even right now also they're wearing, but still they get it from the phone itself. Flashlights and books also, it has gone to Kindle. So likewise, there are many.
Right from timepiece to so many things have sort of vanished from the face of earth. But again, the reality is that it is not just these products. Certain businesses also have vanished. Let us see what has happened in the travel industry. Since at least some of you are from Kerala, all of us would remember few years back when there was a time when every fourth shop in Kerala used to be a travel agency. What has happened to that? That has moved to online. And today there are many players like Make My Trip, TripAdvisor, Goibibo. So many platforms have sort of um, disrupted this particular industry called travel industry. Now let us see what has happened to the hotel industry. There was a time when hotel chains used to compete among themselves. Now, for the first time, all of them have come together to fight their common enemy. And who are their common enemies? You have Airbnb on one side, on the other side, you have Oyo Rooms. Oyo Rooms is also, and again, all of us can be proud of the fact that Oyo Rooms is a company which was initiated by someone from India, which is going global now. What has happened to retail industry? We used to have all these in Kerala. We used to call them these masala stores, small roadside stores where you get. It was more like a stationery shop or a supermarket where you get almost everything. So those gave way to supermarket chains. Now supermarket chains are being gobbled up by these online platforms. What is happening with Future Retail and Amazon and Reliance Retail? I'm sure you would understand what I'm saying. So, but what we need to understand is that as of now, we all rely on Amazon and Flipkart for mobile phones, for computers, for all these things. But the fact is that very soon, both these companies, both these groups are getting into grocery, vegetables, and fruits also. They are not going to confine themselves to these sectors. And in addition to Amazon and Flipkart, Reliance and Tata Group are also going to get into the retail industry in a big way. So, a lot of disruptions happening around us. What happened to the transportation sector? Again, I don't think we need to think much. Names are very familiar. Uber and Ola have disrupted the transportation industry. And in the process, if you see all these companies, you can see certain common traits among them. They are all companies which have moved from local and linear to global and exponential. I still remember years back, around 1980, when I started my business, we used to think about customers coming from Wayanad. In Calicut, when I started my business, we used to think about only customers coming from Wayanad and and probably Malappuram. Nothing beyond that. Any other customer was not seen as a possibility those days. Those days, business were all local. Today, you can sit anywhere in the world and start a business that is global in nature. And again, today, there are business which have gone not in a linear manner, but in an exponential manner. All these companies, if you see, there is one common trait. All the companies that I mentioned some time back, they are all global and exponential in nature. Now let us try to see how they have achieved that. Let us see what Google has done. Google has made information freely available to everyone. They have demonetized information. They have democratized information. Whether you are the son of the richest person of the country, whether you are the son of a factory worker, both of them use Google to get information. Maybe one person is having an iPad, the other person might be having only a 3,000 rupee cheap smartphone, but still the information that they want comes from one place, and that is Google. So Google in the process have demonetized, democratized information. Anyone can get any information that he or she wants any part of the world. So that is what Google has done. Okay, what has Facebook done? Social media. There was a time years back when a media mogul, a politician, a religious leader, a bureaucrat, all of them, if they could come together, they could suppress information. But on the other side, today, what has Facebook done? Facebook has demonetized, democratized media and created something called social media. Information is, nobody can suppress information. You have a mobile phone, you have a video camera, you can record anything and send it out to the world. Nobody could control information. I think the Me Too incident that plagued the world some years back is proof on what one person can do in terms of media or information. All these organizations have demonetized, democratized technology, and they've taken this to the common man, thereby reaching a global and exponential scale. They have packaged technology to benefit common man. They have democratized technology, creating organizations which are global and exponential in nature. Now let us try to visualize the future. I think I'll start with agriculture first, since I'm into agriculture. Basically, because I want to communicate to you that nobody is free from disruption. What is happening in agriculture? In agriculture, I think all of us would have heard a lot about in the recent past about vertical farming. What is vertical farming? Basically, since I'm into agriculture, I know the intricacies of agriculture. To grow anything, you need actually two things. One is sunlight, one is water, and third thing is soil. What is vertical farming doing? Vertical farming is a model by which you use artificial solar or renewable energy on one side, and you use LED lights in place of regular light, and on the other side you have water with micronutrient mixtures in the roots without the use of soil. So vertical farming is the future of agriculture. That is one side. And again, even vertical farming has gone into multiple models, starting with one, hydroponics. So hydroponics is what I explained just now. And then on the other side, you have aquaponics. What is aquaponics? On one side, you do intensive fish farming, and the waste generated from that intensive fish farming is used for growing fruits and vegetables using the same model used in vertical farming. So this is what is called aquaponics. And again, there is a third model which is developed in the recent past called aeroponics. What is aeroponics? Where you spray water and air to the roots of the plants, by which you are able to grow fruits and vegetables. What has happened so far is most of the leafy green vegetables are what has become successful in these three models so far. But the fact is, in aquaponics, what has been proven is that 1 acre of aquaponics can grow vegetables equivalent to 350 acres of conventional farming model. And in aeroponics, 1 acre of farming can grow vegetables equivalent to 390 acres of conventional farming. So this is the scale at which disruption has happened. On top of that, there is something called lab-grown meat, which has become popular, which is getting popular recently. In the year 2020, Singapore government for the first time approved lab-grown meat. And in supermarkets in Singapore today, lab-grown meat is available freely. And I'm sure very soon the same lab-grown meat would be available around the world. So if you see the revenue models of a farmer, what are the revenue models? You can grow fruits, you can grow vegetables, you can grow livestock. All these three are going to get affected not very far off into the future. I spoke first about agriculture because I wanted to communicate to everyone that disruption is not going to be confined to any space. It is going to be applicable to even what I do. So now let us try to move into certain other sectors which are more attuned to what you learn. Let us start with power and transportation. What is happening in power industry? There is a shift towards renewable energy, and that shift is happening from fossil fuel. On one side, over the last 40-50 years, fossil fuel used to dominate the energy sector of the world. That is, over the last 5 years, you have seen a very clear shift towards renewable energy. And in renewable energy, there are multiple options like solar, wind, all these options are there. So that, and again, in renewable energy, India has got a very solid footage because India is a country which has got plenty of solar, possibility of generating solar. We have 365-day sunlight around the country. And in the one of the last auctions which happened a few months back, the rate quoted was 2 rupee per unit. So you can imagine the rate at which the cost of solar energy is falling. So that is one side of the story. On the other side, I think in the last 2-3 years, we have started hearing a lot about electric cars on one side. So fossil fuel over the over the over a period of time is going to give way to electric cars. That is one side of the story. On the other side, I think all of us would have heard a lot about driverless cars also. What is happening in driverless cars? I think most of us have a feeling that driverless car is something that is going to happen a long time into the future. No, that is not the case. Google driverless car project started in the year 2009. It was in 2012 that Google got the first driving license for its cars in US. That happened in 2012. I think it was Arizona state. Then it was in 2015. I think all of us would have seen this video of a blind man traveling in a Google driverless car, a small buggy-like car, and that video is freely available for anyone to see. So this happened in 2015. We are today sitting in 2022. What I am trying to say is driverless car project is not going to be very far off. And in 2015, Google did one more thing. Google started a separate division called Waymo. What Google is going to do is the same thing they did with mobile by creating Android. Today, we buy mobile phones from Samsung, we buy mobile phones from Oppo, Vivo, any company. The software inside is Android by Google. Same thing they are going to do with driverless cars also. This particular company called Waymo is going to provide software for every company that is going to make cars. Over the last 2-3 years, Waymo has signed agreements with almost all the leading companies around the world, starting with Jaguar, Mercedes-Benz, almost all the Renault, Nissan. All these companies have signed agreements for driverless car with Waymo. So that is one side of the story. On the other side, I think all of us would have read about Tesla full self-driving technology, which was recently adopted into Tesla cars. It is not level 5. they've reached only level 3 as of now. But what Elon Musk is saying is that in the next 2 years' time, he believes that Tesla is going to achieve full self-driving. So this is the rate at which disruption is happening. Now, just imagine Uber plus electric driverless car. What would be the impact that would have on the car industry? On one side, service cost of cars are going to come down because of lesser moving parts in the vehicles. On the other side, the road, like if you see every city, 2 lanes on every congested road is being used for parking. But sometime into the future, this option of parking would not be needed. The uh, you can take an Uber, get down wherever you want in MG Road, Bangalore, any part you can get down. The car can continue moving, which means the parking space on both sides would not be needed. So many things, so many disruptions are going to happen because of this combination of Uber and electric driverless cars. So that I think most of us would have a feeling that that is the ultimate in technology. But again, no, technology has moved even beyond that. There is a company which I very passionately follow called Lilium. Lilium was formed in the year 2015. They make electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircrafts for 2 passengers, for 5 passengers. In fact, that was the company which initiated eVTOLs, electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Today, that is not the only company in that particular space. You have Joby's, which have already signed an agreement with Toyota. You have Hyundai, which is coming into eVTOLs, electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircrafts in a big way. They've already signed a deal with Uber. They're going to come out with eVTOLs. So many other companies. Kitty Hawk. Kitty Hawk is a company which is again funded by the Google promoters. Alphabet has also got a stake in Kitty Hawk. Kitty Hawk has already signed an agreement with New Zealand government to start eVTOL operations in New Zealand. What is peculiar about New Zealand? New Zealand is a group of islands. They don't have roads. So if you need to travel, either you have to travel through water or through air. So air is the better option, and that is why the New Zealand government, again being a very innovative government in their thinking, they have already signed a deal with Kitty Hawk. So what I'm trying to say is maybe some days, like what happened with pager and mobile, there might be a leap from driverless cars to eVTOLs. So we cannot predict today, but I'm sure eVTOLs are not going to be very far off into the future. Uber has already announced that by 2023, they would start Uber Air services. Lilium is also a company which is going to start worldwide operations very soon. So that is the next level of technology in terms of personal transportation. And again, I think all of us would have read about Hyperloop. Hyperloop is again something that could revolutionize technology. What is Hyperloop? I'm sure all of you would have read about it. In vacuum pipes with levitation, the speed at which this can travel is unbelievable. What is claimed by Elon Musk is that Hyperloop can travel at a speed of 1,200 miles per hour, which means for us to travel from Kozhikode to Delhi, it might take 2 hours. Even now, the test or trials which have conducted has not achieved that kind of a speed, but technically they say it is a possibility. This, the kind of speed which Elon Musk claimed originally, they say is a possibility. Okay. Now let us try to see what is happening in the retail industry. I think without much difficulty. I think all of you, since you are in technology space, since you can understand technology, wouldn't be difficult to understand what is happening in retail space. You have drones on one side, you have robots on the other side, you have self-driving trucks on the other side. Now just try to imagine or visualize what would happen when Amazon would have self-driving trucks, robots, drones, and artificial intelligence all put together. When that happens, what would happen to the retail industry? So that is also a disruption which is going to be unparalleled. Whatever the kind of shops that we see, the number of shops that we see around everywhere, the relevance that they would have in the days to come, I think would be a question mark. Next, let us go into a totally different sector altogether. I'm actually, because of this is a topic which I cover over a period of 4 hours when I normally take sessions. Since because of the time constraints, I'm avoiding the presentation. I'm actually skipping through. So I'm going a little fast on what I've said so far. If you want to ask any questions, we'll take a small break. What I've covered so far, then we'll go to a totally different sector altogether, future of manufacturing. So any questions in between, if you have, you can ask. Please unmute and please ask what I have covered so far. It could be about retail, it could be about personal transportation, it could be about agriculture. Over to you.
So I just had a small doubt. I mean, the prevalence of aquaponics, hydroponics, and aeroponics, as you rightly said, has been seen to have increased in the recent past. But what are your views? I mean, do you think the normal small landholders or small farmers will all these three mediums of modern so-called farming become cheap or economically scalable enough that in the near future, small landholders, small farmers would be able to copy them? Because right now they are exclusively for those with a large amount of capital. So when do you see that happening?
Now that see, some innovative farmers would definitely get into this vertical farming. But again, just like what we saw in retail space when we used to have these small kirana stores everywhere, today that is sort of getting wiped out by online platforms and big retail chains. So that would definitely happen in agriculture space also, no doubt about that. End of the day, I think over time, everything would be dominated by large players who have deep pockets and who are global in nature. That is bound to happen. Okay. In fact, a few days back, I'm a person who's trying to bring together livestock farming, adventure tourism, farm tourism, and bringing in technology into farming. A few days back, my son was there with me when I was driving to the farm. So he asked me, since you are doing all this, what do you see the future of farming with all these technology and all these coming together? So the reply that I gave him was this. See, what we would be left with, small farmers, what we would be left with would be adventure tourism and farm tourism. Growing fruits and vegetables would definitely move to vertical farms and labs. But adventure tourism and farm tourism have got great potential. I think all of us, in whatever we do, we need to reorient ourselves. Hope I have clarified your question.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. That's an interesting perspective that you have given.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay, we'll move to the next sector, manufacturing. I think since most of you would be from engineering background, you would have already heard a lot about this. I'm sure you would also have heard about Industry 4.0. What was Industry 1.0? 1.0 was, I'm sure all of you would know that I'm repeating what you would already be knowing. Industry 1.0 was mechanization and steam. So that was Industry 1.0. Then came Industry 2.0, and I'm sure all of us would consider the father of Industry 2.0 to be Henry Ford, who, who brought in mass production, electricity, all these things came together, and the conveyor belt system which Henry Ford invented, that was Industry 2.0. Then came towards the beginning of 60s, 70s, came Industry 3.0 when IC chips came in, transistors came in, electronics, IT, and automation came in. And this is the phase through which we are passing through now. But over the next 5 to 10 years' time, we are going into something totally beyond this. We are going to see the convergence of many technologies, artificial intelligence, robotics, big data analytics, IoT, cloud computing, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, virtual reality. All these technologies are going to come together to create something called Industry 4.0. And again, what are going to be the results of this? See, we can all talk about technology on one side, but what would be the result of all these technologies coming together? One, the first impact would be faster product prototyping. So today, if you see in the automobile industry, I used to be there in the automobile industry as a dealer for close to 25 years. I still remember the times when a company would start planning for a new product, say 3, 4 years before. They go to the drawing board, design something, organize vendors. Probably it will take 3 to 4 years for that product to come into the market. But today, there are companies in the same automobile industry, companies like, I think those of you who have not heard of this company called Arrival, just Google, go to YouTube, type this name, Arrival. This is a company which I follow very passionately, which I believe is way ahead in technologies. This is probably the company in the world which is using technologies of Industry 4.0 at a different level today. This is comparable to what Tesla is doing in electric cars, Arrival. And this is a company which is today capable of conceiving a product and delivering the product in at the most 6 months time. And for them, if they decide to make an alteration to a product, it would take less than a month time now. So one of the biggest changes this Industry 4.0 would have is faster product prototyping. Next is predictive maintenance. So today, I think all of us, most of us here attending this session would be having vehicles, and we know what happens when we book a service for one of our vehicles. We take it to the nearest dealer. The dealer would admit the vehicle. Then after a few hours, he'll call you and tell you this particular part is defective and I'm not having this part available with me now. It will take 2 weeks for me to receive it. So please bring back the vehicle after 2 weeks. It is a miserable condition. But if you have a Tesla today, and if you call the service center today, telling them that I want to bring my way. Or if you book online a service for your Tesla vehicle today, you will immediately get a message from the service center saying that this particular part, your brake pad, is defective. It needs replacement. We are not having it here with us now. It will be available in a week's time. So bring your vehicle only on that date. Reason: predictive maintenance. Today, every Tesla has got a 4G or a 5G SIM card inserted into that. So whenever a part is defective, the communication would go to the server, Tesla server, and the service center or the service guy would immediately know that. Just see what Ola, Ola two-wheeler, Ola scooters, Ola electric scooters is doing in India. They don't have the old concept of dealerships. I used to be a dealer for Kawasaki Bajaj vehicles years back. Today, Ola doesn't have dealerships. They only have service franchisees. When you have a problem or if your vehicle is due for a service, someone will come to your house, service your vehicle and go. So just see, compared to a petrol or a diesel vehicle, today you don't have a radiator, don't have to replace coolant, you don't have oil change, you don't have gearbox. All these are products which need parts, which need service, which need replacement, which are highly maintenance oriented. But none of these are there in an electric vehicle. That is the reason why Ola doesn't have dealers in the first place. You book your vehicle online, you get your service online, everything is online. So predictive maintenance. So that is next thing that Industry 4.0 can bring in. Next is real-time supply chain management with upward and downward integration. If you're a manufacturer, just imagine a company like VKC based in Kozhikode, which is into shoes and chapel manufacturing. See, when you have upward and downward integration, what happens? You have an executive having a tablet going into a shop, and the person on the shop floor is saying that your new model chapel is having a defect. Customers are complaining. They have a certain pain in certain area. You need to rectify that. In the olden days, it would have taken a long time, but with Industry 4.0, immediately the person, the sales officer, can note it down in his tablet, and the information can go directly to the manufacturing floor, the shop floor, where the company manufacturing division, and immediately within a day or two, the issue can be corrected. So this is real-time supply chain management, and at the same time, you can with data analytics, you can manage your manufacturing production better, so that with data analytics you can predict the requirements 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now. All these are possible with upward and downward integration on one side and big data analytics on the other side. And again, another very big possibility of Industry 4.0 is what this company called Arrival has achieved. Arrival is a company which is specializing in a concept called micro factories. They are able to convert unused uh, unused big old sheds into manufacturing centers, which are called micro factories. And what they are going to do is they are going to set up manufacturing centers with a capacity of 10,000 vehicles around the world. This is a company which is going to go global very fast. They have already signed an agreement with UPS. They have already signed an agreement with Uber to manufacture vehicles for Uber services. They have signed an agreement for UPS for the courier industry. So all these possibilities are there when you use Industry 4.0 technology. So the possibilities are immense. Now, uh, now I'm going to speak about we are we are going into a totally different sector altogether. I'm sure uh, at least some of you would have heard about this company called Neuralink. It is a company by Elon Musk. He has two companies. One is a company called Starlink and another company called Neuralink. All of us would have heard a lot more about Starlink. What is Starlink doing? Starlink is launching uh, low orbit satellites at a frantic pace, and they are going to have these internet coverage covering the globe very soon. For your information, they have already applied to Government of India to start Starlink services in India. And I'm sure all of you would have read about the report which said that they were taking bookings close to a year back, and recently they have refunded all the money which they've collected in the form of bookings. That was news. But at the same time, they have already given request to Government of India to allow Starlink to start operations in India in 2022. On the other side, a company called OneWeb, which is promoted by Airtel, has also applied to Government of India to start services in 2022. And just yesterday, day before yesterday, Geo platforms have also applied to Government of India to start uh, these services, uh, satellite internet services in India. So what I'm saying is these services are going to become available very soon, and including Starlink, there are many companies which are moving into this category of business. So that is Starlink. I think all of you would have read about it a lot. There is a company called Neuralink. What is that company doing? Neuralink is a company which is going to revolutionize the world. They are they are in the process of creating something called neural link, which can be implanted into your brain. Neural link is something that would connect your brain directly to the internet, to a server or a computer, which means with what Elon Musk is doing now, few years from now, I don't think we would need this thing called a mobile. All of us would have a neural link into our brain, inside our brain, connected to the Starlink, which means we wouldn't need a mobile phone. We would all be connected to the net. Any information that we want, we could get from the net. So just imagine the possibility this is opening up. And again, I listen to all the reports which come out from Neuralink every month. They have this monthly Neuralink reports. And I believe it is not very far off that this is going to become a reality. By latest by 27, 28, this is going to become a reality and it is going to become commonplace. Just imagine what would happen to mankind with Neuralink and Starlink combined. Possibilities are immense. And again, next is let us talk about the space. What is Elon Musk's biggest dream? To make mankind a multiplanetary species. And I think years back, I used to listen to him years back itself, around 2012. I used to listen to his talks. And when he said electric is going to be the future of cars, everybody ridiculed him. Everyone said, every car industry CEO used to say this guy is mad. But 2018 with Model 3, he proved that electric cars are the future. And same thing he had been talking uh, about space also. He is one person who believed that the future of mankind is multiplanetary, and he is a person with a dream to set up uh, 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 and uh, um, uh, uh, um, set up a station for mankind in Mars. That is a vision that he is working on. But again, all of us know that Elon Musk is not the person, not the only person who is into this space. Jeff Bezos is also passionately following this up with a company called Blue Origin. Jeff Bezos also has got a company, not other than Amazon, which is into space research. And what Jeff Bezos is saying is that he has got a dream of a world which is green and pure. What he believes is that sometime into the future, all the polluting industry can be moved into outer space and Earth can become a clean and green place to be. So, so much is happening in technology, so much is happening in around us. So that is the reality. Now let us go into something totally different. When I speak about technology, I always speak about our own country because I believe that India is a country which has got a great future. If you see, uh, if you see uh, over the last 25 years, that was a time when China was growing the fastest. And today, China has become a superpower. But if you see the Economist cover story in August 2016, it clearly said that by 2050, there would be three economic superpowers around the world. And they said that these three economic superpowers are going to be America, China, and India. What was the reason for that? In fact, they had listed the reasons for that. There are many reasons. I would say the number one reason is the shift from fossil fuel to renewable energy. See, if you see the last 40, 50 years or 100 years, the growth engines around the world were all cold countries. But um, nature plays certain games at times. With renewable energy coming in, I believe the next 50 years at least would belong to companies which would have sunlight in abundance. Because among renewable energy, the cheapest and the most efficient is definitely sunlight. If you see the cost reduction in solar panels, if you see the cost reduction in battery technology over the last 15 years, it is something like 80%. The cost reduction is 80%. And that is the reason why all of a sudden, over the last 2, 3 years, we have started hearing a lot about renewable energy and solar power in particular. So future is definitely going to be solar power. Today, if you see over the last 30, 40 years, out of the foreign exchange earned by our country, a major chunk of that was going for buying crude oil. That is going to stop very soon. And that is the reason why government of India is also encouraging renewable energy, solar power, and electric cars. Because that way the government can save a lot of money that is being wasted for buying crude oil. So that is the number one reason I believe that would trigger our country. Second is, as I mentioned earlier, Industry 4.0. I believe Industry 4.0, with so many young engineers and again talented engineers in this country, India is definitely going to contribute a lot in Industry 4.0 with technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, big data analytics, augmented reality, virtual reality. All these technologies, I'm sure our country would dominate. The third reason I believe is the reason contributed by none other than Mukesh Ambani, the information superhighway that this country has created today. Thanks to Geo, thanks to so many other companies coming together, today internet is available in every nook and corner of the country. And with COVID, many of our youngsters are today working from home. They are back in their villages, they are back in their tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, working from home. And for the first time, I believe they are seeing the problems faced by the society there, and they are going to come out very soon with entrepreneurial models to solve the problems the society is facing there in the villages, which means the technology gap between the cities and the villages would narrow down. And that is definitely so. Three reasons which I believe would contribute to the growth of India as an economic superpower. Number one, renewable energy, solar power. Number two, Industry 4.0. Number three, the information superhighway this country has created. So that is India. Every time I address a group of youngsters, I always speak this point because I come across many youngsters who believe that future is only there in the US or Germany or Japan. No, I believe all of you young aspiring entrepreneurs, you have a great future. You could be entrepreneurs, you could become professionals, anything that you are into, you have a great future in this country. Next, again, I'm going into a different topic. I'm actually skipping through different areas which I believe are important for you to understand in your age. Next is this is the age of young entrepreneurs. I'm sure all of you would know the word unicorn. What is a unicorn? Unicorn is a company which has got a valuation exceeding $1 billion. Over the last, say, 15 years, the world has created close to 1,000 unicorns, starting with Google, Facebook, Uber. And again, in India, we have Ola, we have Flipkart, so many companies, so many companies. So if you see one common thing in these unicorns, all these unicorns were created by young people, not people like us with gray hair. No, they were all created by young people. Young people who conceived the ideas when they were in their 20s, and their companies became unicorns when they were in their 30s. If you see, in India, there is only one company that was created by someone past the age of 50, which is that company. Can someone name that company? Can I ask you? big basket, Hari Menon. Hari Menon is the only person who's past the age of 50 who has created a unicorn in this country. So what I'm trying to say is this is your age. This is your age. This is the age of young entrepreneurs. Next, again, I'll go into a slightly different topic. See, this is also the age of a different kind of leadership. Olden days, if you wanted to create something big, you had to be an emperor or a king. Just see, Alexander the Great. He was an emperor, and he could conquer almost half the world. Shah Jahan could make Taj Mahal because he was an emperor, and today it is remembered. But just imagine what Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos have done. Both of them started in their own garage with just a computer in a very small way. But today, in terms of the power both these people have acquired over time, I would say they are more powerful than Alexander the Great or Shah Jahan. They have they have conquered very easily. We can say they have conquered half the world. They have conquered so much mind space in each one of us. What I'm trying to say is today's leadership is different. Each one of you, if you have the right vision and the determination to work hard, it doesn't matter where you start from. It doesn't matter what you have when you start. You have the vision, you have the determination, you can conquer the world. That is a new leadership model which we can see around the world today. Today, there is one more thing that you can see. In the olden days, intellectual capital used to follow financial capital. Today, that has reversed. If you have intellectual capital, financial capital would follow you. Just see what is happening with Elon Musk. Everyone knows that he has intellectual capital. He wants to raise $100 billion. How much time would it take for him to do that? It would take only minutes. There is so much of capital chasing so little intellectual capital. What I'm trying to say is, if you can acquire intellectual capital, many of you have engineering background, you have management background, you combine these two together, the possibilities are immense. If you can create that intellectual capital, have no doubt financial capital will follow you. It will come to you. You do not have to go after that. I take this opportunity to wish each one of you success. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. If you have any questions, you can ask. Whatever little I know, I think. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It actually summed up disruptions and future of every sector. So I think we can quickly move to question and answers. Like if anybody's having any queries or anything related to what is told over here, you can come up.
Please unmute and ask if you have any questions. Switch on your video also. Let us have an interactive session.
Hello?
Yes.
Is there any question from anyone's side?
I just had an observation to make. I did not have any questions, sir. First of all, thank you for this very informative and interesting session. I mean, this was as enlightening as it was encouraging for us. I just had a small observation. I mean, I totally agree with you about how all these new so-called innovative ideas are disrupting. But I think along with that, we need to gradually accept them, because either you survive or you get out of touch. As far as these Starlink and other projects are concerned, Elon Musk is definitely launching more than 42,000 proposed satellites, out of which 3,000 have been launched. Just recently, yesterday in the news, we heard about how 40 of them were destroyed by a geomagnetic storm, and how other satellite companies are vying for this. They are questioning how Elon Musk's Starlink project would probably hamper the space signals of telescopes and other such things. So, unless and until we together as mankind propose some cooperative solutions, all that we are doing right now is vying for that top place, for that successful position by trading on each other. So that was a small observation, that unless and until we adopt and adapt to each other's strategies, I don't think we can reach that position that we might in that time frame.
See, uh, see, there are always people who are skeptical, who believe that um, so many things could go wrong. But if you see the world over the generations, over the ages, always new technologies were accepted after some time, after an initial set of resistance. This is bound to happen. Only positive thing which I would say, there is definitely going to be a category of people called the super rich. But again, unlike the past, I know what you have in mind. Just to address that concern, let me say that years back, during the days of kings and emperors, we had two category of people. We had people who lived in a set of abundance on one side, the kings and emperors, and on the other side, people who were unbelievably poor. For them, survival was always a question mark. But again, where we are going to in the days to come is definitely going to be a world where we'll have haves and super haves. We will not have have nots. Just see how much the cost of internet has fallen over the last 10 years, and how much the cost of power is going to fall in the next, say, 5 or 10 years time. So everything is going to become cheap on one side, which means to survive, for a person to survive, he wouldn't need much. I hope you got what I'm saying, what I'm trying to communicate. The world would have on one side haves and on the other side super haves, but the have nots would definitely come down. Got it?
Yes, sir. I agree to a somewhat extent to that. Yeah.
Any other questions?
If there are no other questions, I would like to call Harsha to wind up the session with a word of thanks.
Thank you, Fahim. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This was a great session. I thank Roshan sir for sharing such valuable knowledge with us. It has given us a great deal of understanding about the opportunities which we have to seek and strike for in this dynamic world. We are really honored to have you here, Roshan sir. And I would like to thank you on behalf of whole SOMS family for taking time out of your busy schedule and giving this session for us. And I would also like to thank our faculty advisor, Radha Raman sir, the training and placement cell, and PR cell, especially for him, Aditi, Amina, Arun, and all others for helping in organizing this session. And of course, we are thankful to each one of you who joined this session and made it success with your presence in this Friday afternoon. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.